Borg here for Office Hours, also known as Coach. And today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to continue our discussions, obviously, in the general topic of music business. But today, we're going to leave off the second word and we're just going to talk about music. So we've been talking about music publishing, we've been talking about music marketing, and now, of course, we have to talk about music, because without music, there would be none of that, right? So in any case, the topic that we're going to discuss on today is really what's in a song. So in other words, what are the elements that make up a good song, or what are the elements that make up a hit song? Now, this is a difficult discussion really to have because, generally speaking, there's no one right way to write a song, or there's not necessarily one thing that makes a song great. However, there are definitely elements of songs that if you look, not necessarily even that, that deep, you'll start to see these things that come up repeatedly, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So essentially, what's in a song? Now, if you're wondering, so why are we talking about this? Because one time I went to a meeting in front of a whole bunch of A&R people, and I just basically asked them. I go, so. When you guys listen to a song, what is it exactly that you're listening for or look for, or, what's a good song in your opinion? And they're like, a song that has it, or a song that's got X factor. And I was just like, great. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to write it, and I'm going to try to figure out what X factor means. I mean, what a bunch of shit. I mean, straight up, I thought that was the lamest answer, and it didn't do anything for a starving artist that was going to go home and try to figure out how to do this, or how to break in, or or how to have a shot, right? So in any case, there definitely are elements that we can discuss, and here they go. So the first part is structure. So we need to talk a little bit about song structure. When we talk about song structure, essentially, we were talking about the foundations of a song. And just generally speaking, we normally have, a verse, we have a chorus, we have a pre-chorus, and then we have, the out choruses, generally speaking. And the traditional form has pretty much been verse, chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, essentially. And that, if you look really carefully, has a nice balance between what's called predictability and surprise. So you start off with a verse, which is kind of like a little bit of the story, right? And then you get to the chorus, which is kind of the purpose or the main point of the story. Then you go back to the verse a little bit, and people are going, okay, this is starting to sound comfortable. It's predictable in a way. And then you go to the chorus again, and people are like, okay, I expected that. But then you shake it up a little bit, and then now you go to the bridge, and now you have a little bit of a different perspective of how to see things. And then boom, you hammer it home with the chorus again, and then you hammer it home with the second chorus again to make sure they remember it, right? And that pretty much makes up the general structure of a song. Sorry about, we got some live action here. What's going on here? We got the fire. Sorry about that. Woo! All right, so generally speaking, that's what makes up a traditional song. However, oftentimes people start with the chorus, right? So they start on B, and then they go to the verse, and then they go to the chorus, and they go to the verse, and they go chorus, chorus. And the songs are, a little bit more to the point. And there's a reason for this. There's an expression that goes, get to the chorus, don't bore us, right? And also these days, people are trying to grab the attention of listeners, especially on Spotify, because essentially a listener has to listen for at least 30 seconds in order to earn royalties on Spotify. So if the artist isn't catching the listener before those 30 seconds, they might actually do what's called skipping. And skipping also looks very bad for you on Spotify, simply because it shows people's disinterest. So that's not good. So shorter songs are also more likely to catch people's attention as well, and they're less likely to skip. So when we're talking about structure, we're also talking about the length of a song too as well, okay? And generally speaking, the lengths of most songs are in the 3-minute range, 3 minutes or a little bit over, 3 minutes or a little bit under. And I think that you guys will probably see, if you look at some of the hits that are out today, it's not likely that you're going to see 5-minute songs or 6-minute songs or 7-minute songs, right? Listen, there's no one way to write a song, and certainly there's examples that can prove everything that I'm saying wrong throughout history. Like listen to Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, right? I mean, what is that, like 7 minutes or whatever long? But in any case, you know, these two things are very important. So balance and also length. Another important part of a song is also what's called contrast. And that means that there's contrast between parts. So, you know, there's a verse, and then there's a little bit of tension, boom, and it explodes in the chorus, and there's a lot of harmonic parts, and then boom, it goes back into the verse, and it maybe even comes down a little bit, and then boom, it goes up in the chorus. Or vice versa, it's strong in the verse, and then it comes down for the chorus. But whatever case is, there's some sort of distinction between the parts. So it's very clear when you're in the chorus. It's very clear when you're back down into the verse. Okay? Now, of course, this is genre dependent. This is most typically of pop and sort of, you know, streaming friendly songs. Okay? All right, let's move on to lyrics now. And by the way, let me just say hi to a couple of people. We have like Shazla, we have Zulafar here, we have SK8ERADD69, King Yapper. That's funny, man. All right, so we are talking about music business here, all right? So anybody that's interested in music business, you're more than welcome. And please leave your questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer them, okay? All right, moving on real quick. Then you talk about lyrics real quick. And the important things to think about lyrics is that, number one, they're clear, right? There's clarity of the lyrics. So in other words, they're not, you know, too out there and weird so that we don't even understand what it is that you're even talking about, right? So clear lyrics. They need to be relatable to your target audience. So they need to be something that's really important and that means something to your target audience. They need to be vivid in the best case scenario. So you don't just say, I broke up, I broke up, I broke up. You have some sort of interesting way of describing breaking up. So for example, there was a hit song that said, the first cut is the deepest. So in other words, instead of saying the first breakup is the deepest, they created sort of this metaphor. So in your mind, you're feeling the cut, the bleeding, the pain, right? So vividness of lyrics is also very, very useful to look for. And then also repetition of lyrics. Do you know the song by the Beatles, Hey Jude, says Hey Jude 32 times in the chorus at the end? It repeats it 32 times. Na, 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 na. Hey Jude, you know, it just keeps on repeating that over and over again. All right, let's talk about melody now. When we look at a song, also factors to look for are something called melody. You know, and melody is the music, but melody is also the hook. And I look for what's called the humback factor. So does the song have humback factor? So after listening to it, can you hum it back, right? So let's take the Beatles again. You take that melody and it's a short phrase and it keeps on repeating and it has humback factor. It makes it easy to memorize and relate to. And songs these days have lots of little memorable hooks. It could be the guitar riff, it could be a section in the chorus, it could be the whole chorus itself, it could be little parts here and there that make the song very, very memorable. All right, moving on. Style and sound is another very, very important issue. What is the style and what's the sound? And typically speaking, the more unique that this song is, probably the better it's going to be in sticking in the minds of the listeners. So maybe groups that do genre bending, you know, blend different styles together to create some sort of uniqueness. Or maybe artists that use different instruments. So they use and feature different instruments on the song that are unique and different. Or maybe a certain vocal quality of the vocalist. They have a certain way of singing that makes them stand out. Or even they have quirky things about their voice. And even in some cases, their voice can be even thought of as being really horrible. But yet it's so horrible, it's so freaking great. You know, some people might say that Bob Dylan's voice was you know, whiny and sort of drony and a little strange in terms of his articulation, but brilliant, right? And extremely memorable. All right, what else? How about production? Oftentimes the production of the music is what really sets it apart, and what the production of the song, and it gives it sort of that edge, and and it makes it stand out, and it makes it different. So is the production of the music special and interesting, and immediately recognizable, where you can just go boom, that is definitely that artist, because they have a very, very interesting way of going about and producing songs, right? The Beatles were incorporating orchestras, they were looping things backwards, they were experimenting with different sounds, so all of that became a big part of the Beatles sound. So just to review real quick, when you're talking about a song and you're looking at songs and sort of what makes them, what is in a song, right? What's in a song? Look for structure, look for lyrics, look for melody, look at the sound and style, and look at the production. These are things that might help you articulate what it is that you like about a song or don't like about a song, rather than just saying it's like, it doesn't have it, or it doesn't have X factor, whatever. I think that's just kind of a BS way of looking at songs and whether or not you think they're good or bad. And, of course, and you don't want to just look at numbers either. I mean, numbers definitely say something, but they're not always accurate. I mean, you might see somebody that streams a lot, but does that mean that it's a better song than this song, So understanding music is a very, very important thing, because this is, after all, the music business, right? So again, remember, please, there's not one way to write a song, and there's no rules really, because anything can be broken. But again, understanding the elements of a successful song can be very, very good in working with artists, in articulating why you like something. And maybe even now you can use some of these things, and you can kind of try to spot them in songs that you hear and artists that you're looking at. And for the artists out there, maybe you might think about having some of these elements in your own songs. Maybe they might make them better songs. I don't know. All right, you guys. So anyway, I go live usually around 12 o'clock on the Pacific time. And, if you guys have questions or anything, I'd be more than happy to answer, these questions for you. And that's pretty much it. Reach out if you need me. All right. So Professor Bobby Borg, also known as Coach, signing out. Peace, love, and I'll see you guys all later. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.